All right, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to be talking about division. This is going to be the first of two videos. We're going to start out with whole numbers and then move into decimals. So as always, this is going to act as your note sheet. So everything that I write, you need to write down in your math notebook. Feel free to pause this video whenever you need to get caught up and to make sure that you've got everything down. Okay, so the acronym that we are going to use this year that's going to help us with long division problems is known as Does McDonald's sell cheeseburgers? Tyler, what are you talking about? Does McDonald's sell cheeseburgers? What does it have to do with math? Well, this is going to be our acronym to keep us in line for our division. So the D stands for divide. The M stands for multiply. The S stands for subtract. The C stands for check. And the B stands for bring down. Okay, another acronym that you might have used before is Dracula's mother sucks chicken blood. I think that's too violent and scary, so I like to keep it PG. Does McDonald's sell cheeseburgers? Okay, so we're going to use all of these terms in our long division problem. Our first long division problem is going to be 128 over 4. Now, I wrote it as fraction form because I want you guys to get used to this idea using numerators and denominators. I'm writing it like this to show that the top number goes in the box. Okay? So now we're ready to set this up. So the top number, the numerator, it's not always the biggest number. For the first couple problems, that it is going to be the biggest number, but don't get caught up in this idea that the bigger number always goes inside the box. It's always the top number or the numerator that goes inside the box. So 128 goes inside the box, and 4, the divisor, goes on the outside. Now, I wrote this out vertically. I like to write it horizontally. That's going to keep me a little bit more in line. So, does McDonald's sell cheeseburgers? Okay, and I'm going to show you how we're going to utilize that acronym as we go through this. Okay, now we're ready to divide. Actually, I like to give myself little footprints above each number inside the box, and that tells me that each one of these footprints needs to be filled in with some sort of number. So that's going to help keep everything really organized. Okay, we're going to start out with the D, the divide. Mark likes to think about this as an estimate. So estimate how many times the 4 goes into each one of these numbers. Okay, so 4, how many times does it go into 1? Well, it does not go into 1. So I like to write a nice 0 up there to show that 4 does not go into 1. If the divisor doesn't go into that first number, we just move on to the second, and we treat this like a double-digit number. So now, how many times does 4 go into 12, or 12 divided by 4? And that is going to give us 3 times. Okay, so check, D is done. Next, multiply. You can look over here if I need some clues. I'm going to multiply that one number, that single digit that I just wrote down, by my divisor, what's outside the box. 3 times 4 is 12. Check, done. Moving on to S. S is subtract. I'm going to subtract those two numbers and get 0. Check. Speaking of check, that's our next step here. The check means we want this number, the difference that we just got between these two numbers, it needs to be less than the divisor. If it's ever more, then we've done something wrong and we need to go back. But we act like this is a little checkpoint before we move on. So I know that 0 is way less than 4. We're good there. If it was a 5 or a 6 or something higher, I know that something was wrong, and I would go back and see what was maybe this number up here wasn't high enough. Okay, so check. And last, B, bring down. I'm going to take this 8 and bring it down. After we complete that final step of B, we start over again. And we start the division process again. How many times does 4 go into 8? 2 times. 2 times 4, check D. Next is multiply. Not 32, just the one number that we just used. So 2 times 4 is 8. Check. S is subtract. 0. Check. Check. And to check, 0 is less than 4. We're good there. B, bring down. There's nothing left to bring down. We are done. So our final answer, 28 divided by 4, is 32. Okay? Let's work on another example problem, one that's a little bigger. Let's do 1,545 divided by 15. So as always, the numerator is going to go inside the box. 1, 5, 4, 5. 15 is going on the outside. I'm going to write my footprints for each one of my digits that's inside. I got 4 footprints. And then I'm going to give myself that key again. Does McDonald's sell cheeseburgers? Now we're ready to divide. 15, does it go into 1? No, it doesn't. So I'm going to put a 0 up there and move on to the next. 15 goes into 15 one time. Check. Next comes multiply. 1 times 15 is 15. Subtract. Check. We're on subtraction now. 15 minus 15 is 0. Check. We're going to make sure that difference, that answer that we got is less than 15. In this case, what's outside the box, that is correct. And then bring down. Having some trouble with my pencil today. Okay. 4. After we've brought down, we're going to start that process all over again and start with the D divide. How many times does 15 go into 4? Now, if that number does not go in, we don't bring another number down. We just write how many times 15 goes into 4. Since 4 is less than 15, 15 cannot go into 4. So we're going to represent that in our footprint up here by saying 0. Okay, that is a key 0 there that a lot of kids miss when they're doing these type of problems. So again, I just estimated how many times 15 goes into 4, and that is 0 times. So we've done our division. And we're going to treat this just like a regular number. 0 times 15 is 0. Now I'm going to subtract 4. I'm going to check 4 is less than 15. We're good. And then last step, bring down that last digit, 5. Okay, I've done everything nice in order. I've shown my work, and I've stacked everything up nicely. Definitely utilize those grid lines in your notebook to help you keep everything straight. We brought down, now we're going to start over again. And here's where it gets a little tricky because this 15 isn't one of our normal multiples that we know. So we got to do some guess and check and see how many times 15 goes into 45. Well, I know that 15 times 2, 2 times 5 is 10, carry the 1, 2 times 1 is 1, plus 1 is 3, is 30. So I'm really close to 15, so that tells me that I just need to bump this up from a 2 to a 3 rather. Now I can do 3 times 15. 3 times 5 is 15, carry the 1. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 1 is 45. There it is, okay? So this work right here is going to be key. We're going to do a lot of scratch work in this guessing and checking to see how many times our divisor goes into our number that's down here, okay? So don't be afraid to really put in the work to figure out how many times, to really guess and check. Okay, so we have figured out that 15 goes into 45 3 times. The 3 right there, is that where it came from? And I'm going to keep going through this process. 3 times 15 is 45. That's why we showed our work over here, because we've got that. We're going to subtract. Nothing left over. Nothing to bring down. We're done. My answer is 103.